Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. Our movie begins in Central Park in New York City, where life is very normal and calm as usual, until suddenly everyone stops moving. Only one person among them is able to move, and she is puzzled by what is happening. She talks to her friend and asks why people suddenly stopped, but finds her friend repeating the same sentence over and over before killing herself in front of her. A few blocks away from Central Park at a construction site, a group of workers and engineers commit mass suicide by jumping off a building without any explanation. The incident is filmed and spreads among the public until it reaches the high school where Mr. Elliot works. The school principal calls for an urgent meeting, announcing that a toxic gas has been released in the air at Central Park. This gas causes people to act strangely, starting with confused speech, then memory loss, and ultimately leading to a fatal outcome. Due to this, a state of emergency is declared, and everyone is instructed to return home until the government finds a solution. The event is classified as a terrorist attack on the city. Elliot returns home and meets his wife Alma, who tells him that the suicide incidents are being broadcast on the news and have become so severe that New York City is being completely evacuated. The news reports that the gas disables the brain's self-preservation mechanism, causing individuals to harm themselves fatally. Alma prepares for a trip, and they decide to travel to Philadelphia with Julian, Elliot's friend, because the gas is only present in the northern area where they are, and Philadelphia has no reported cases. They all meet Julian at the train station, ready to travel together. As they board the train and begin their journey, the gas reaches Philadelphia, causing everyone to stop moving suddenly. Among them is a police officer who pulls out his gun, shoots himself, and dies. Another man takes the officer's gun and shoots himself as well, triggering a wave of suicides. News of the gas spreading to Philadelphia reaches the passengers on the train, and they learn that the gas began spreading from a large park, just like in New York. Suddenly, the train stops at a station, and the conductor informs them that the train will not continue its journey. All passengers are told to disembark and find their own way. Elliot tries to find out why the train stopped, and the conductor explains that they lost contact with the main station and cannot communicate with anyone. The passengers gather at the nearest restaurant, where Julian's daughter Jess expresses fear and wants to see her mother. Elliot tries to comfort her, but news of the suicides continues to escalate. They watch videos of a man entering a lion's cage and letting the lions attack and kill him. A government statement is broadcast, declaring that the events are not a terrorist attack, because the incidents are occurring simultaneously in multiple areas across the northern region. The group decides to leave the area using cars and hitch rides with anyone available to escape the gas's spread. Julian refuses to join Elliot and Alma, insisting on returning to Princeton to save his wife, whom he has been unable to contact. He entrusts his daughter Jess to Elliot for her safety, promising to reunite with them after rescuing his wife. Julian departs with another group heading back to Princeton, while Elliot, Alma, and Jess continue their journey. When Julian reaches Princeton, he finds people hanging themselves from trees. He tries to seal the car to block the air, but notices a tear in the roof, allowing the gas to enter. The driver suddenly stops the car, accelerates into a tree, and crashes. Julian exits the car, sits on the ground, picks up a shard of broken glass, and cuts his wrist, dying as a result. Meanwhile, Elliot and his group try to leave the city as quickly as possible, but encounter dead bodies on the road. They take a detour using a map and come across a military vehicle. A soldier warns them that the entire area is surrounded by dead bodies, and moving further could expose them to the gas and lead to their deaths. More people gather at their location, and one woman manages to call her daughter in Princeton to check on her. The daughter says that everyone in the city is dead in the streets. Suddenly, the daughter begins speaking strangely, and the call is cut off, leading Elliot to suspect that Julian has likely died. A soldier suggests moving to a less populated area, hypothesizing that the gas targets cities in large gatherings. The group begins traveling to a sparsely populated location in smaller groups. Elliot's group leads the way, while the soldier's group walks through a field. Strong winds blow through the field, and the soldier stops, pulls out his gun, and shoots himself. Elliot hears gunshots from the direction of the other group and realizes that the toxic gas has affected them as well. Elliot starts to theorize about what is happening and concludes that plants are releasing a certain gas to protect themselves, perceiving humans as a threat. He believes that the suicides began in Central Park because of its dense vegetation and high human activity. The group notices strong winds heading their way, and Elliot instructs them to split into smaller groups to avoid triggering the plants. As the wind passes over Elliot's group, nothing happens to them, confirming his theory. They find a car and search for a map. On the radio, they hear speculation that the gas might be linked to the numerous chemical plants in the northern region, of which there are 15 factories. A potential leak from these plants could be causing the events in the area. Elliot sees a house in front of him where they can stay and think about what to do. After entering the house, they find a map inside. Elliot decides that they will head to the nearest small town to avoid the gas and the accidents happening. They start moving, and Elliot sees from a distance groups of people walking. Suddenly, they stop, and someone tries to start a gas-powered machine, lies under it, and commits suicide. Elliot confirms his theory that large groups are the ones affected by the gas. They continue towards the town, but Jess becomes tired and hungry. They find a stranger's house and try to enter, but the homeowners are scared and refuse to let them in. The people with Elliot become angry and try to break the door until the homeowners are forced to shoot at them, killing them to make Elliot leave. Elliot, Alma, and Jess escape before they are also killed. They keep walking until they reach a simple house where an old woman named Jones lives alone. She allows them to stay for one night but behaves strangely. She has no means of communication with the outside world and is unaware of the gas issue. She says she doesn't want to know anything about what's happening outside and insists they leave the next morning. They spend the night there, but when Elliot wakes up the next day, he finds that Jess and Alma are not with him. He goes out to look for them and sees Jones standing in her garden, moving backward, surrounded by strong winds. Elliot realizes she has been affected by the gas in the wind. He runs inside to lock himself in, but Jones begins banging her head against the windows, allowing the wind to enter the house. Elliot hides in a room and sees that Alma and Jess are in a separate room outside the house. He can hear them and communicates with them through a pipe in the ground that transmits sound clearly. He warns them that the wind's effect has become stronger and that even someone alone, like Jones, has been affected. He expresses his wish that he could save them and tells Alma that if he dies, he wants to die next to her. Elliot opens the door and moves toward Alma, who also comes out to meet him. However, they are not affected by the wind. They return inside together, confused about why they weren't harmed. They stay in the house until they are able to leave and discover that the danger has passed. 3 months later, after the phenomenon has ended, research continues to investigate its cause. Scientists hypothesize that the event was triggered by a specific substance released by plants, which interacted with polluted air from nuclear factories. This reaction disabled the brain's defense mechanism, causing individuals to commit suicide. This explains why the phenomenon was localized to the northern region. Over time, the plant's secretions evolved to affect individuals rather than groups. Once the plant stopped releasing the substance, the suicide ceased and life returned to normal. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.